Crete was a strategic island in the Mediterranean Sea, commanding the shipping lanes to the Black Sea and the Middle East. It was also home to thousands of British and Commonwealth troops who had been evacuated from Greece after the German invasion in April 1941. The Allies hoped to use Crete as a base to launch air raids against the Axis forces in North Africa and the Balkans. However, the Germans had other plans. They decided to launch Operation Mercury, a daring and risky plan to seize Crete by air. They planned to drop thousands of elite paratroopers and glider troops, known as Fallschirmjäger, on the island, and capture the three main airfields at Malmö, Heraklion, and Rethymno. They would then use these airfields to land more troops and supplies, and secure the island before the arrival of the British naval reinforcements. The Allies were aware of the German intentions, thanks to the intelligence from the decrypted German messages from the Enigma machine. They prepared to defend the island with about 42,000 troops, mostly British, Australian, New Zealand, and Greek soldiers, along with some Cretan civilians. They had few tanks, artillery, anti-aircraft guns, and no air support, as the Royal Air Force withdrew its planes to Egypt. They relied on their numerical superiority, their knowledge of the terrain, and their determination to resist the enemy. The battle began on the morning of May 20, 1941, when hundreds of German planes filled the sky over Crete. They dropped bombs and paratroopers on the island, while the Allied troops and the Cretan people fought back with rifles, machine guns, and even knives and rocks. The Germans faced fierce resistance and heavy casualties, especially at Heraklion and Rethymno, where they failed to capture the airfields. The Allies were confident that they would repel the invasion, and the Germans were close to calling off the operation. However, the tide of the battle turned on the second day, when the Germans managed to take control of the airfield at Malmö, after a series of communication failures, tactical mistakes, and counterattacks by the Allies. This allowed the Germans to land more troops and equipment, and to overwhelm the Allied positions on the north of the island. The Allies were forced to retreat to the south coast, where they hoped to be evacuated by the Royal Navy. The evacuation began on May 28, 1941, but it was a costly and chaotic operation. The Royal Navy's ships were constantly attacked by German planes, and many of them were sunk or damaged. The Allies also faced the problem of transporting the troops from the hills to the beaches, and coordinating the evacuation with the naval and air forces. Many of the troops were left behind, either killed, wounded, or captured by the Germans. The evacuation ended on June 1, 1941, and the Battle of Crete was over. The Battle of Crete was bloody and brutal, with high casualties on both sides. The Allies lost about 23,000 men, including 4,000 killed, 2,000 wounded, and 17,000 captured. They also lost 12 ships and 21 planes. The Germans lost about 6,000 men, including 4,000 killed and 2,000 wounded. They also lost 284 planes and 125 damaged. The Cretan civilians also suffered greatly, as many of them were killed or executed by the Germans, who also destroyed many villages and towns. The Battle of Crete was significant and influential, as it showed the potential and the limitations of airborne warfare. It was the first time that the Germans used their paratroopers on a large scale, and they proved to be a formidable and courageous force. However, they also learned that the airborne operations were costly and risky, and they never repeated them. The Allies also learned from their mistakes, and improved their defenses and tactics against the airborne attacks. The Battle of Crete was also a turning point in the war, as it delayed the German invasion of the Soviet Union, and gave the Allies time to prepare for the future battles. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe for more untold history. See you next time.